All right, what is up, everyone? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am your host, Charlie Shrem. We've been together for the past 3 years, diving deep with some of crypto's most influential leaders, Bitcoin's OGs, those who are not being written about by the mainstream media when they're talking about our whole industry falling apart. I'm bringing you those people. I'm bringing you those companies, and I'm bringing you that real information to truly understand where we are right now, where we're going in the future, have some fun along the way, meet some really cool people that you end up wanting to meet in real life, playing some cool games that involve NFTs, playing around with some cool Bitcoin hardware wallets, all the fun stuff, all the culture, all the fun stuff. This is where you get it right here on Untold Stories. And I'm excited to be bringing another epic episode to you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the other episode from 2 days ago. That was a lot of fun doing that panel with Consensus with Adam and Jared. I hope to be bringing you more live episodes. I met the guy who actually owns the Blockchain Across America bus. There was a bus. A guy ran across America, and he had a bus follow him, and he sold the bus. So I was thinking of taking the bus and like not running across America, but doing these like kind of intimate podcasts, dinners or something like that, just for fun and for free to hang out with all of the fans around the country, around the world. That would be a lot of fun. But today we get to talk to Ben Tse. Ben, thank you so much for coming on Untold Stories today.
My pleasure. My privilege. Thanks for having me.
You're the co-founder of GenoPets. You're the chief products officer. You're an award-winning product designer, strategist. You've been working for over a decade on products design, user interface, operability with beautiful software. You've been in our space since 2016, and GenoPets is really cool because what ends up happening and what we think we see is that like our whole industry is producing nothing. And the world wants to tell us that we've produced nothing. Our investors tell us that there's nothing here. We're in this bear market. We're overpromised, underdelivered. I said these things, but then we got to seek out and go out, look for those companies and those people and communities that are doing things, that are building out amazing products. And GenoPets is one of those things. It's a free-to-play mobile NFT role-playing games that turns your real-life daily activity into gameplay. You're part of a community. It's fun and rewarding. You get to live in an active lifestyle. And it's like almost like the evolution of like in early computing. Remember like the Tamagotchi or these like almost like pets that you'd have on your computer. It's like the evolution of that. So it's like a natural thing, right? Can you kind of give my listeners a little bit of like the backstory of yourself and how everything got started?
Oh man. Well, that's a pretty big question.
And thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah, no problem. Well, for myself, I guess all that really matters to say in the context of GenoPets is I started a web design agency when I was 15, and I just started making websites for my friends and family. And over the years, that basically just grew from this hobby into a company. And I really didn't even intend to be in this industry at all. I went to school for hotel management. Oh. But ultimately, I learned how to be professionally nice for 4 years.
Yeah, but that's why it works. It's a perfect overlap.
Yeah. And it was really interesting going into technology from a hospitality background. I put myself through school just making websites the entire time. I never thought that I'd end up just doing this for a living. But then I graduated in the worst year to graduate ever, 2009, right in the midst of the financial tsunami.
I graduated school the same year, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
It was a rough time to enter the job market, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've had a fantastic run for the last 10 years, haven't we? So then I went to Asia, and then I tried to get a job in hotels, but like, I don't want to do this. The entire time I was just feeding myself making websites. And I realized one day, I was like, this is so stupid. I should just do this. And all that really matters out of that whole story is that I just ended up building over the last, it's been 19 years now. Gosh.
Oh, wow. So yeah. I think about that.
15, 34. 19 years now. So I've made over 200, maybe 250 250 websites, apps, products, all different shapes and sizes. But none of them ever felt meaningful. I was working always for someone else. I was always creating someone else's dream. And it was fantastic because I got the experience of essentially watching everything go up and come down, go up and come down. I've been through so many cycles, and I've watched companies start from nothing and go back to nothing many, 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 many times. Essentially, I served as like a mercenary CTO, CPO for a lot of these companies. And so finally, with GenoPets, I got an opportunity to make something that's mine. This is my dream, my baby.
So isn't it beautiful to make something that's yours? It's a different situation.
Yeah, I still work just about as hard, probably harder. I've been doing 120-hour weeks for as long as I can remember. I cannot think of the time when I wasn't. It was so stupid. I was always like, I don't want to work in a hotel. I should work like 80 hours a week.
Yeah, but hotel gives you like professional customer management too. It's teaching you how to be customer support. I run Airbnbs here. It's like with my mother-in-law and my wife and I, we run our little Airbnb business. And nice. And dealing with trolls in crypto and dealing with trolls in prison has taught me to like just say yes to everything.
Yes, because you definitely learn a lot. You build character. Working in F&B and working in hospitality definitely character. The whole first year of being an intern in Hawaii was just writing apology letters for like I would go to
Do you
work
like
at
Hawaii?
8 in the morning. Oh, I loved it. Oh, that was fantastic. I miss it. I missed a lot of it. Yeah, but instead of working 80 hours a week in hospitality, I ended up working 120 hours a week for 15 years in tech. So, can't run away from
the whole
destiny, I guess.
Well, now you're kind of having your time to shine right now. Like, obviously, crypto is still $1 trillion industry. It's huge. DeFi is going through its bailout moment right now with FTX bailing out companies like BlockFi and Voyager and some of the other ones. Not bailing out, but just providing like credit lines and kind of helping spreading that wealth that was created largely from like Solana. That's where like FTX made a lot of their money. So it's good. Yeah. Someone asked me this a few years ago. It's like, how do you make sure that the industry keeps cycling that money that it's made back to itself? And I said, well, we have no choice if we don't. But you're having your time to shine because GameFi, and it's this topic that I've been talking about for the past like 50 episodes of this show. It's like this idea of like having decentralized finance, but with gaming, and that like move, the whole move to earn and STEPN and GenoPets, and this is the time to shine. Like, do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. It feels like Ikigai. I don't know if you're familiar with that concept, but it's when what you love to do, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for all intersect. And it absolutely feels that's just amazing. I feel like everything that we've worked so hard for, Albert and I, my co-founder, this is our, we've honestly lost track, at least 8th business together, maybe 7th or 8th business together. We've been working with like 15 years. And it's been, no less than that, 12 years. And we've just struggled and built so much and worked so hard. And finally, it's like every single thing I've ever done somehow has been extremely relevant to what we're doing right now. And it's really cool to be able to show it all off.
So explain this to me. So you got like, you describe it as your digital spirit animal encoded with your personality that evolves through your daily activity. This combines like the NFT metaverse with physical real life stuff. How does this all come together?
Well, I'll tell a little story. 2018, I was running another company that was just failing rapidly, and I was in really, really dire straits. That was my first blockchain project, so I have paid my dues. In 2017, I paid my dues, and as a Hail Mary, Albert said, "Hey, EOS is doing a hackathon, and if we do well there, maybe you can get a little help with what you're struggling with over there, because that was really, really rough at that time." And so on a whim, and it was on the last $750 on my credit card, last credit that I had, I bought a ticket to London for this 24-hour hackathon. and the topic was using blockchain to improve relationships between humans and privacy on the internet. And we just went in there completely blind and threw some random thing together. Data marketplace, genetic data marketplace. That sounds cool. Yeah, why not? And then that led to just us getting fourth place, which was terrible. It was nothing.
That's pretty good though. Out of how many companies?
It was like 200 and
wow,
maybe 250 teams there. But then they gave us a call and said, "Hey, we're actually changing the rules. Fourth place is going to go to the grand finals. All expenses paid. It's in South Africa." So we're like, "Oh crap! Okay, all right, why not?" And the grand prize is $500,000. And they're like, "But you got to go and build this entire idea into a company." This total random thing. I mean, we didn't know anything about genetics. We were just starting out and all this stuff. And we had to basically learn everything there was to know about genetics, about genetic data, the value of genetic data and the health data, and pitch it to investors in South Africa, and try to, win this hackathon. And somehow, miraculously, and a whole ton of hard work, we ended up winning this hackathon. And this is when this whole idea was born. So we've been thinking about this intersection between how blockchain and digital things and digital data entities can really bring value to people in the physical world since about 2018. And that's really when the idea of GenoPets was born. This idea of, because we ran into a brick wall with that company that was called GenoPets. And the idea behind that company was that you would be able to collect your genetic data and your health data into an entity that would live on the blockchain that you would have the keys to, that you would own for life. And then medical researchers would have to pay you directly. So pharmaceuticals and medical would have to pay you directly for that data. But we couldn't really get anyone to be excited about it. And genetic data.
I'm excited about it. That sounds crazy. But it's very ahead of its time.
It's way too far ahead of its time. And, trying to explain to people, hey, you're going to make money off of genetic data. You're going to have your data privacy. It's like every good thing that, we thought was self-evident that people want and need, but they still need, but they don't know they want it or need it yet. It's just not out there yet. So then I thought, you know what? Confuse the enemy. Why even try to hit them over the head with the actual benefits? And I'm going to have to trick people into doing something that's good for them, because as we all know, we're really bad at knowing what we want and what we need. And so it's just disguise it. We'll seduce them with it. So then I thought of, why don't we just do it in a game? If we made it really fun for you to walk around and play, and in the meantime, collect your health data for you, store it for you, never look at it ourselves, but it will just create this entity that's going to grow in value over time and then give it to you at the end of you playing this game. What if we did that? And what could be more more undeniable, or what could people not say no to? And I was like, well, it'd be digital pets. Everyone wants a cute pet, super innocuous, and you can grow it and you can evolve. And
what if the pet was you? Has your personal characteristics?
That's right. And what would the ultimate digital pet be? And that's why it's actually called GenoPets. A lot of people don't know this, but it's called GenoPets because the original idea was always, and maybe someday in the distant future, or maybe not so distant future, I don't know. The idea was that your GenoPet was actually going to be procedurally generated based on your DNA. And so you'd upload a VCF file.
Oh my God. Can I white label this and make my own game?
Well, it seems regardless, Move to Earn is blowing up so much that everyone is doing it anyway. But we are looking to someday, and if we have to get our foundation set first. But
sure,
I would love to be able to open this up. Absolutely. And plus, it's open world composability with blockchain. So have at it. We would want to partner with people and allow our GenoPets to live in other universes. But the underlying technology thing is when we get to that point, absolutely, that would be freaking fantastic. Once we build that, that's what was called GenOS back in the day. Let's create that platform that would allow people to. We have this gem model. Essentially, it allows you to feed your data into a black box you'd own. So that would be awesome to white label if we ever get back to that.
So you just mentioned this concept called Move to Earn. And before we get into this, I want to explain to people why these things called consensus algorithms, which move to earn is one of them, which is an evolution of proof of work, things like proof of stake, why they're so important and why the economics or the socioeconomics of a blockchain's consensus algorithms, like you hear the terms like war gaming or game theory, how that works is so imperative to the success of any blockchain, because you're not going to want to leave your money there, or you're not going to want to earn something on a blockchain where a centralized authority can freeze it, block it, reverse it, or do whatever they want with it, look at your data. Because then what do you hear from in the first place? When Satoshi invented Bitcoin and basically invented proof of work, one of the reasons proof of work was so brilliant is because energy is decentralized around the world. Anyone from Mongolia to Russia to the USA to Iceland to Antarctica can harness graphics or computing processor, whatever energy they have with there, and mine Bitcoin without having to seek permission from the existing network. A lot of people, and if you look at how the energy is actually transferred into something like Bitcoin, that's why there's immediate value there. And if you guys notice, like things that we work for, we prescribe a lot more value to them because we worked for them. That's why things like in-game points we care about, even though they're worth nothing. But at the end of the day, we play these games or we do these things and we earn. It's why you go on a trip, you go on vacation, you want to buy a magnet from the store so you can look at it on your refrigerator and remember the work that you put in earning money to pay for that trip, how much fun you had on that trip, the memories you made with your partner on that trip, potentially, all these different things. We prescribe that value. And that's one of the things that Satoshi was trying to decentralize and harness. Then you had things like proof of stake that try to make some different evolutions. Bringing it back to move to earn. Why is that almost like a great, in your view, why is that such a great example of the Satoshi algorithm by almost decentralizing energy again? And you can do a lot of things with move to earn. Can you kind of explain a little bit more about how it all works?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my view, I think the really important foundation or framework to think about everything is from this perspective, what is the origin of value and what is the definition of value? And in proof of work and so on and so forth, the value is defined by the amount of energy, the electrical grid energy or whatever mathematical computational energy that is necessary in order to solve that and create that into existence. And so when you think about essentially value as being defined by something you work to do, then you can think about work and abstract or actually get into more fundamental understanding of what work is. And this actually is kind of a microcosm, actually has deep parallels with the societal paradigm shift that we're kind of moving towards with the advent of technology of what is work and what is the relationship between work and value? Because now we're entering a time when we are the amount of money that we earn is directly correlated to the amount of labor that we produce. But as technology improves, the whole point of technology improving is that we can work less and do less and get more. And so it kind of puts us in a position now where if the technology is here to make our lives easier, which means we don't have to work as much, but if you don't work as much, you can't make as much. And that's a problem for a lot of people. And so we have to really start thinking about, I'm not the first person to talk about this by any means, but we have to start reevaluating a person's value and what kind of work they can do to create value. And that's where blockchain is really interesting. And I think one of the most important, and why blockchain and this entire crypto universe has been exploding in the last 10 years, is because it provides an avenue by which you can redeem value for unconventional work. And the most recent one being this concept that there's value in your data, there's value in your health, there's value in walking around, there's value in having friends and so on and so forth, just doing anything that we now have this vehicle by which to assign and generate value to previously unvaluable, or I think more profoundly, priceless things that are unquantifiable before. We can now attempt to create frameworks to quantify them and extract value out of them, which I think is very necessary.
It's so true, but it gives you it gives you value discovery too.
Yes,
It gives you the
yes,
ability to
absolutely.
like not only say to ourselves like, hey, how do we value our own time? It's how other
Right.
people can value our time too. And
Yeah.
it goes back to the question of happiness, right? Like you're sitting here working all the time, and you feel like you're spinning your wheels. Yes, you're being paid or you're not being paid, but it's like, why are you not happy? And a lot of people focus on like continuing to grow their net worth and all these different things, where I meet older people who say, Charlie, like, I want to have the same amount of money I had last year, but I want to work less for the same amount instead of trying to like work more for more. So I want to work less for the same. And what you're saying to me is you want to like make your time more efficient, that you're making more money hour per hour, but you're also having more free time to do the things that you love, which end up maximizing your time anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually brings up a really good point, and actually the soul of the game and the soul of why we're doing this. I mean, we didn't. GenoPets is entirely 1,000% like a passion project that just. I mean, we didn't necessarily expect us to get to where we are. We had really really good timing. We had a really really good strategy. We had a really good concept and everything. But even then, getting to where we are now, it's like that's cool. But ultimately, it hasn't been about just like I want to make this thing to make buku billions of bajillions of dollars in crypto. It was like
Sure.
This is just it's the most meaningful thing we've ever done, and it was only possible because of, back to your point about thinking about the value of your time and really maximizing that. It's like there was a moment in 2019 where I finally, for the first time in probably 10 years plus, had a moment to breathe.
Wow.
Introspection
Yeah.
for a second. I made just a slightly comfortable amount of money to just like for once not hustle and worry about paying rent for like 3 months, and just think like I could do anything with my life right now. I have all the time in the world. I have all the resources that I could need. And it was this like incredible, like contradictory
it's so
feeling.
Liberating. It's so liberating.
It was exhilarating and also terrifying at the same time. It's like, oh man, I'm 30. It's not quite. I'm not ready to feel unburdened yet. And then it was this crazy existential moment of like, well, what do I want to burden myself with? And I was like, well, I guess if I'm gonna have to work my face off, what would be worth doing? And then that's when, because we had shelved GenoPets for a while. We shelved GenoS, and it wasn't really. It's kind of tenuous about like what we're going to do next. And I was like, that GenoPets thing. I like dusted it off, and it was just the idea that because like every single product I've ever done, like 200 plus products that I've created, were always about like helping this person make a little more money doing this, or like help this person be a little more efficient doing that. But at the end of the day, it was just about like increasing the acceleration of the rat race so that you could make more money and do this or do that, and so you could buy bigger things. But for the first time, it's like what we were talking about earlier with blockchain. It really provided this unique avenue to build something that would actually physically benefit someone by making them healthier, and also financially benefit them. But of course, because being physically healthy requires an amount of financial stability and financial health.
So what's this? Oh no, what were you going to say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, because I'm really excited.
And then only with, thank you, I'm glad. And then I realized like, if I can make someone if I can help give incentives and reward people for being physically healthier, financially, then actually maybe that would create a foundation for becoming emotionally healthier, or mentally healthier. Because when you're physically healthier, then you've got a little more blood flow to your brain, got a little more energy. And so maybe, with a better energy, a better mood, you won't make one bad decision. You won't say that one thing that you would have said if you're annoyed or pissed off or you're tired or something like that. And that one inconvenient thing you didn't do, it frees up or like reduces that opportunity cost. And then maybe you'll make a better decision instead, just by default. And if you do that, then maybe you get in one less fight with your significant other, or one less fight with your parents, or
I love that.
get less pissed off. And if that happens, then maybe a little more emotionally healthy, and then if I can also help you train, then you'll have a little more bandwidth and a little of annoyance to free your mind a little bit to like try and learn something new, learn something different, and increase your skills or change your perspective about something. Because it's very hard to live a better life when you're stuck in survival mode all the time.
You can't learn. Yeah, you can't be offensive while you're being defensive. If like you're spending all your, like you said, if like you're frustrated all day because you're not efficient with your work and you feel constantly overloaded, and then you end up like fighting with your partner or whatever. The ability to like think clearly on, hey, how can I just do this better the next time? Like, how do I do all this work for 1 hour less? You can't think of it unless you're out of it. And most people don't have the ability to get out of it.
That's right. And just the idea that I could create a game that might just give that, everyone is so, especially, we've just gone through COVID. We're about to go through some really rough times with the economy. We've just been through hard times for a really long time now, our entire generation and the coming generation as well, So like, if we can just create something that can give someone just like an inch of breathing room, an inch of solace somewhere, that gives them, that's just all they need to like just think a little bit differently. Maybe we can create like a 0.5% difference. And if we can do that for everyone that plays a game, then maybe the network effect of 100,000 people, 200,000 people feeling just slightly better each day would have a net 1% global impact on just like not bad things, 1% less bad things happen. And if I can accomplish,
we have all these apps on our phones. We're using all these health apps. We're all using social media. Darn, even listening to this podcast with an app, someone else is making money. Right. Not me or you or anyone else, like Apple or Spotify, whoever you're listening to this show on is probably making money from the fact that you're in this app, and they're collecting your data, where you're driving, where you're walking. Every day that data is being collected and being resold, maybe in a privacy oriented way, quote unquote. But what does that even mean? What you're saying is like, we can just change that. We could like help the users who are giving us this data, and whether it's like starting with move to earn and GenoPets, or it ends up being moving to like what you said before with like health technology and rewarding you for your data. Like that's where the future is, because it's going to change someone's life by, like you said, like 1 or 2%. But 1 or 2% is like a huge thing in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what we realized in 2018 was like, if data is the new oil that powers the AI economy, we're oil mines. We're literally all gold mines. The amount of data that we generate every single day. And if you want to think about the world, we live in a technological age. So we think about everything from a technological framework. So if you think of yourself as purely a data object or a data fountain, then you can start thinking of yourself as, what kind of data do I produce? And it's actually an interesting angle of self-reflection. And if we, as app creators and builders, developers, incentivize people to generate more of useful and profitable data, then that's net good for the creator and the consumer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then put that on a blockchain and then give it to you. And then you own it.
What's the state of the project right now? What are some of your achievements, users, like the state of the game? Can my listeners get what can they do at this moment?
Absolutely. We are in the final stages of our beta, our closed beta development. We've been hard at work for the past couple months. In November, we launched our Genesis GenoPet collection. It's like having a first edition Charizard. As you probably already know, that's a procedurally generated, fully modular, based on your personality. There's 3,200 that were launched at that time. Shortly after that, we launched Gene Token, and hit $1 billion market cap. And then in February, was it February? No, the time has all blurred. Sometime after that, we launched Habitats after a bunch of treasure hunts. And so those were also procedurally generated and completely unique, each one of them, and sold those. And then we just launched Key Token yesterday, which is one of the key final capstones for enabling move to earn. So you'll be able to start earning key token really soon.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll be first opening all of that up to using invite codes to our loyal community. We have a community of 186,000 in our Discord. It's like 150. I haven't checked our Twitter in a minute. 150K on our Twitter. So we have a beautiful community. We love everyone. It's so awesome. Shout out to Dragonville.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
I love our community.
And actually, yeah, that's the most rewarding thing about this whole thing. In fact, we actually hired someone from our community and is now working with us, and he's amazing. So shout out to Felix. But yeah, so we've essentially built the core, the very, very first game loop, which is walk around, get energy for your steps, convert steps to energy, and then you can buy habitat and convert your energy into key. So that is coming out very, very soon. So what players can do, what you can do now is join our community, join our Twitter, and get updated on the invite code releases that we'll be sending out in short time.
This is so cool. Do you have to like sit and figure out if someone could take over the network and change the rules? Is that part of discussions?
Well, fortunately, because we're a DApp, so we don't have to worry about things that layer ones worry about. We don't have to worry about 51% attacks or anything like that. We are entirely focused on building a sustainable economy, which is one of the most exciting and endlessly fun and fascinating things to think about every day. Yeah.
That'd
be a whole nother hour with you.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like figure that out. There's like a whole nother conversation. Like I talked to a lot of like mid-stage VC groups, and what they look at is they're like, they would look at GenoPets and they would say, okay, this is like the first evolution. And then, you know how we talked about earlier on the show of like using this technology that you've developed and invented to like move into an existing field that is already kind of happening, like someone doing a decentralized email or like, GenoPets for like your health data or something like that. They wait for like that stage. Do you think GameFi will break out? You think the technologies that you guys are developing will be used for like other insurance products and traditional finance and email or health and all these different industries, or will like the technology be sticking around just in this like game finance world?
The short answer is it really depends on us in the crypto world. Like, how are we going to keep making Ponzi-nomic economies? Are we just going to keep making unsustainable things that are all hype and work really well in the bull market and don't survive past? If we keep doing that, then we're never going to break out of our bubble. If we manage to crack the code, I mean, to one end, what you're saying, this is the first evolution. Absolutely, in the first evolution, we are all experimenting for the first time in history, as far as I know. Like everyone, all the builders in the crypto community at this point have the ability to test our own economic theories and theses in real time with real audience and real people, right? Like that's an incredible thing to be able to do. And really, I think what's happening from a macro perspective is the traditional finance and traditional world, the conventional world, is like, I don't know what you guys are doing in there, but it seems like you guys are doing something really cool. And if whatever survives this, that comes out and breaks out of the crypto bubble, would need to be absolutely astounding and astonishing. And that what we create in this lab, I think the entire crypto world, crypto sphere as a lab, we're just experimenting, trying different ideas out. And when we find something that works and then are able to bridge the gap and combine that mechanism with existing frameworks and existing systems to create synergistic value, like creating new value, sum that's greater than its parts, then at that time, I think we'll absolutely succeed. We'll be able to bring value into the real world. And I think for us, that's absolutely our goal. It's absolutely our goal. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, one step at a time.
Yeah. On that note, and this is more of like a timely question, is you guys built on Solana, if I'm correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think the state of Solana versus Ethereum, and just like Are companies like yours going to be building on protocols? Do you think building on top of layer ones? What's the relationship with projects and the blockchains they want to build on? Do you have to like reach out to them in advance? How does all that work?
That's a really good question. The well, and to answer one part of that question is that our entire decision of which blockchain to pick, it's very dependent on the nature of the product that you're looking to build, right?
Okay.
The choice of, and really, it's actually a really interesting environment to build in. But in if you have pros and cons for everything. So for us, Solana, high transaction speed, high TPS, really low transaction cost, and high scalability. That's why you see so many of these games coming up on Solana. That's perfect for gaming, depending on the use case, right? So our relationship with Solana really is to use the blockchain, taking advantage of all the advantages that Solana provides for our purposes, and they do. We do work closely with them. We primarily work really closely with the marketplaces a lot more. We don't have like direct a lot of direct need really from the blockchain itself, because what we're doing is we don't need to make any changes to the blockchain or anything like that. The blockchain doesn't need to do anything different than it already is. If anything, it's just to have Solana there to work with them to understand their technology on a deeper level. Fortunately for us, Albert, my co-founder, is and CEO, is an absolute genius, wizard.
Amazing.
And I really don't say that lightly at all. he's really, really clever.
Do you think you'll ever see a need for your assets to be bridged to other blockchains or interactions with other blockchains?
I don't know if want, absolutely. I think it's hard to say at this point, but I would venture to guess, if I had to put forward a thesis, I feel like where we are today, and I could be completely wrong with this, but it just seems to me inevitable that eventually the idea of there being separate blockchains would have to be, in order for mainstream adoption to happen, it would have to be abstracted away from the end consumer.
Interesting.
Like no one's going to have, because if you look back at the way that the internet started, the Web 2, the Web 1 that we know of, right? It started with DARPANET. It started with a small network at MIT, one in LA and in Europe. And they were just self-contained networks, right? They had no access to one another. And those are just a small local network of computers. And it wasn't until, the network in MIT was connected to the network in California. And then that became the first super network. Now you have two networks, clusters of computers that can talk to each other. But before it was DARPANET, it wasn't the internet, it was DARPANET. And MIT, and I don't know the other one. But it's not until you link all of these localized networks together to create this larger web that you really get a lot of innovation and a lot of things moving. Imagine, if everything that was on DARPANET had to be, reprogrammed and reconfigured to go on your computer if you weren't on DARPANET, right? So that's kind of where we are today. I see all these disparate blockchains that need to exist to some degree for their particular use cases because of their underlying architecture they serve. They have different advantages and disadvantages. But ultimately, the dApps that live on top of this infrastructure, especially in the gaming world with composability, would want to absolutely and ask for and try to build infrastructure towards being able to move things between chains seamlessly. So I would love to be part of that.
That's what I think too. I think that's how it's gonna go. There has to be a maintained relationship just for the sake of like liquidity and things like that. But for growth, we need to all continue to work together. And that's always been the way it's been for 10 years. And I don't know why people become maximalists to their own blockchain. It doesn't last. It really doesn't last.
Yeah, I think that's coming more from a financial ape side of things, which of course, it's like it's rooting for your favorite team. It's fun, but like ultimately, if you had to think of a choice, if only Solana was going to survive or all blockchains will survive and you'll be able to use everything, like, of course, as a consumer, you're going to want the latter.
That's a great idea. Let's talk about this for a second. There is this underbelly of like friendly or unfriendly, like, or hostility or like competition between all these chains. But no one has really like brought that above surface. And what I mean by that is no conference has ever done like the chain wars. Like let every chain have their own section of the thing. And how do you pack it? Like, but we should actually like bring that above the surface and do it in a way that's not monitored, but more friendly, where there are not barriers, but like when you go bowling, there are bumpers.
Guide rails,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because it's uncomfortable.
Sure.
It's uncomfortable. Yeah.
Well, it's
cool.
funny because I think that would be very interesting. I'd love to be in that audience and hear what they have to say. I mean, ultimately though, it's like, it's really hard to compare because it's not really apples to apples with any chain.
Yeah.
Right. They're all layer ones, they're all chains, but like they're fundamentally very different, all of them. And ultimately, that's why I don't have to build a layer one. I never want to build a layer one. I respect and commend the people that do, because that is not easy work to do. It's hard enough building a dApp. I have hats off to them. And so ultimately, as a dApp builder, I'm agnostic to any chain. I love them all, and I want to see everyone get along. Ultimately, though, like I don't know how serious it is. I don't know how serious any like this chain resent. It's mainly just like the people that aped into Solana are hating on ETH, and the people who aped in on ETH, and the vice versa, But I don't see the foundations being mad at each other very much.
It's so fun. It's so fun. Well, Ben, I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on Untold Stories today. Is there anything you want to leave us off with? What, if you were a listener of the show right now and you're really interested, what would be the first place you would tell people to go to? Is it to join your Discord and follow your social channels?
Yeah, absolutely. Join our Discord. Just go to our website. It's genopets.me, M-E. And from there, you'll find our Discord, our Twitter. It's Twitter/GenoPets, discord.gg/GenoPets. Very self-explanatory, straightforward. And I would love to give me a shout out if you're in Discord and you came from this podcast. Give me a hey, and I'll definitely say hi to you and hang out.
Oh, I love that. So. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Have a beautiful day.